arming people with language, processes, and more importantly, access to your own network is how we help lift people up.
In this episode of Conversations Beyond the Brand, Tashana Thompson sits down with Nikki Ivey, a LinkedIn top voice, nationally recognized sales leader and tech sales expert, dynamic coach, speaker, and mentor who's revolutionizing the culture of tech sales.
Have there been moments in your career where you felt pressure to tone it down?
Pretty much the entire time. More recently than that, this is within the last couple of years. There was a job interview. This person was like, one more thing, we want you for the job. One more question. A lot of our buyers are conservative. Are you open to taking a nose ring out? To which I responded, you know what I've never heard? A lot of our buyers are liberal. Would you consider putting a nose ring in?
Oh my goodness.
I needed him to sit with what he had just said to me and how silly that is. Lean all the way in to the aspects of your personality that make you feel most confident. Do not shrink from that, because when you are in the room with people, they want to connect with you as a human being, especially in this time of automation and AI.
What has that cost been for you, being so visible and vocal? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Conversations Beyond the Brand. This is a weekly podcast where we sit down with purpose-driven leaders and talk about the work, vision, and values that shape their brands. I'm your host, Dr. Tashana Thompson, and today's episode, y'all are in for a good treat. This season, we are talking about wearing your values. And today's guest, who is someone who truly lives out loud and is unapologetic about that. And I just love her down. Welcome to the podcast, Nikki Ivey. Okay, that was my music.
I appreciate it. I want to record that and use it as like my alarm in the morning when I wake up.
You sound like a crazy person.
It would get me out of bed though. But hi, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. Nikki is a nationally recognized sales leader and expert, a dynamic coach and speaker, and someone who I've had the pleasure of being coached by. So I'm super excited to bring you all the fire, truth, and unmatched sales ability that she brings to the space. So just pull up a chair, get your little notebook, okay? Because I know she's going to drop some gems for us. So I've told the audience, Nikki, a little bit about who you are, but I want to hear it in your own words.
Yeah. I'm a problem solver, but also an SHIT starter. I get into some of the good trouble you may have heard about. So my career really has been about, culture, and specifically looking at the impact of culture on outcomes, on economic outcomes, usually for folks from groups that are, underestimated, disrespected, and ultimately underrepresented. So for me, that has mostly meant sales culture, working within tech sales in the SaaS space. But as you mentioned, it has also meant showing up and coaching, and there's a lot of mentoring, community building with other folks in specifically this sales profession. Because again, right, this should be a profession that is an equalizer given the barrier to entry, right? You don't typically have to have advanced degrees or specialized training. And for folks who are systemically excluded, a lot of the time, this is an opportunity for often transformational growth. But it takes someone to get in there and say, hey, did you know this job exists? Right. So that's also part of what I have been doing. And I have found that, arming people with language, processes, right? And I think more importantly, a network, right? Access to your own network is how we help lift people up. And I'm also a sales nerd, so I've gotten to do those things at the same time. And it's just been a pleasure. And that's been over the last 20 years nearly that I've been selling something or other.
That is amazing. I don't know how you managed to have 20 years plus in the industry when you're only 20, but we'll get to that at a later date.
True.
So,
True.
one of the things that I, have always admired about how you built your brand and your career and your voice, um, without losing yourself in the process. Like, let's keep in mind that Nikki is a LinkedIn top voice and has done all the things. Can you walk us through your journey into sales and leadership?
Yeah. Part of it is what I was mentioning a moment ago, right? Which is, do you know the opportunities that are out there? And has anyone communicated to you, right, that your skills and gifts position you well for those opportunities? So, sales in the first place, I went onto a car lot with a friend of mine. This was back in, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all, okay? This was in 2004. Okay. I am
Wow.
43 years of age. And
Girl, hey.
yes, it's a fun time. But anyway, so I walked onto this car lot with a friend of mine. She was, shopping, and there was this salesman. He was doing some of the, all the schmoozy things that we see on TV when we see the salesperson that we don't want to be anywhere near.
Mhm.
As I was trying to help dude out, I was trying to get him to break veneer, right? All of this just instinctual. I hadn't worked in sales at all. But I did understand, I've always understood, right, the impact of communication on moving people. And he wasn't moving her. So I was trying to help him, but it came off a little bit, I think, like heckling him a little bit. And so he wasn't able to get through to her. He wasn't able to make that connection and make the sale. But as we're walking out, she and I, this guy's boss chases me out the door and he's like, "Have you ever thought about a sales career?" This
Oh,
is car
wow.
sales, right? And I hadn't ever really put it together that, again, like a gift for communication, for connecting with people is something that I can make money doing. And so I think, like, step one for people thinking about this kind of thing, right? It's opening the mind, flipping the switch that this is something that you were already suited to do. Um, so I did that for a little while. And then I'm on another car lot selling some cars a few years later. And this gentleman was like, "You have been here from, because we worked 12-hour Saturdays, right?
Mhm.
All they call it. You've been here all day, standing out in the hot sun on this car lot, doing these test drives and whatnot. And you have this gift for communicating. Did you know that you could sell software doing that in like the air condition with like free snacks?" And I was like, "You had me at snacks, friend." So this was back, is Austin, Texas. They were having this big, his boss, cattle call tech sales interview. And I just showed up
Yeah.
and did the thing that I do, right? Which is, again, lean into what people connect with, lean into the human element of whatever the job is. So I got the job. That began me on this path in tech sales. It had not ever been easy, but that's why I love it. It's a grit building career. You know this. You know this from the coaching. There are so many things in sales that if we do them consistently, they make all the difference. We make all the money, but they
Yeah.
are the hardest things to do consistently. So
Yep.
learning those things over time, then figuring out strategies and building business acumen, and then getting to the place where I am now, where I've internalized these things. I've had fun doing these things. I've perfected in many ways doing these things and created some of my own frameworks and processes. And I'm excited about applying that to help organizations move forward, which is what I was doing when you and I met in the 12%. And again, what I'm on a path to be doing now, continue. Is that what you asked me? Did you ask me? You asked me how I got into it, right?
Yes, I did. I did. And I love it. I love it. Um, so you have a big, bold personality, which is one of the things that you and I have in common. And one of the things that I absolutely love about you and was drawn to about you. Have there been moments in your career where you felt pressure to tone it down?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's been pretty much the entire time. pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, sometimes it's been tone policing, right? Like, but rather aggressive kind of tone policing. This is like just sort of the interpersonal workplace stuff that many people might be familiar with. Things like, people are having a discussion at work. There's a minor disagreement, and I go to express, right, my differing point of view in really the same tone as everyone else, but it is read as, me escalating something. And I've had peers say, oh, I hope she doesn't go ghetto on us, right? Like, so there's things like, yeah, girl, yeah. That's why I was like, I got to fix it because y'all not finna just be talking to me in the homegirls this any kind of way. But so yeah. Oh, I have a list of those. These are some of my favorite LinkedIn posts to write, is the ones that begin with a quote and it's literally some dumb stuff that someone said to me while at work. But yeah, so that is an example of me getting the impression that I should tone it down. More recently than that, this is within the last couple of years, there was a job interview and this person was like, one more thing, we want you for the job. One more question. A lot of our buyers are conservative. Are you open to taking a nose ring out? To which I responded, you know what I've never heard? A lot of our buyers are liberal. Would you consider putting a nose ring in? So I had to let him sit with.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying? I needed him to sit with what he had just said to me and how silly that is. How silly that is. Also, like, I be selling. So if the nose ring is the thing that made him say no, maybe they're not my people. But yeah, yes, to answer your question.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
I have been
exclamation point. Yes.
Tone it down. And then again, in an ongoing way, it's something I think about, especially now that I'm, looking at other opportunities and, making a bit of a shift, right? I do think about, because I've had it asked, right? My content, right? The things that visibility, which I'm sure we're going to get to.
Yes.
But the way that the cultural work that I do, right? Even though I know it's rooted in facts, I know it's rooted in what we know is both the right thing to do and the more profitable thing to do. I know all of those things. People are sensitive. People are sensitive, and most are not willing to do the kind of self-reflection that would help them understand that what I'm saying from a culture perspective is not antithetical to the problems that they're trying to solve and the mission that they have. But sure, in job interviews, right? Things like, well, I see that you do, a lot of the DEI stuff. I see that you do a lot of the culture stuff I've heard. Is we don't really mind that, as far as, how it impacts the brand. We just want to make sure that you're not insulting anyone. We want to make sure, that you're, not being unfair to any particular group. So yes, people do ask me to tone it down. And if I didn't believe that this is what not just sales culture and the sales profession, but workplace culture needs to move forward, right? In a way that I might not see the impact of in my own lifetime. But if I didn't believe truly that that's what needed to happen to make us all better, then maybe I would feel more comfortable compromising. Maybe I would. But because I understand that there are people who will come after me who don't deserve to face the sorts of things that I have faced, and who should not swallow the lies and the propaganda that tell them that they have to, right? So, it isn't something I can sugarcoat. It's something everybody, I think, has to navigate for themselves with what they're comfortable with. And I make no judgments. I'm not out here like saying, if you're not out here speaking out against these issues, on LinkedIn or, in the loudest possible way, do you even care? Right? Like, I understand that this isn't everybody's brand of activism or advocacy. But I'm not in this for what I think I can impact in my own lifetime. I think about the world that our children are inhabiting, the workplace more specifically. that they're
Absolutely.
having, and the
Mm.
imperative to create an environment that they can thrive in. And sales in particular, right, has this, people want to talk about it as a pure meritocracy. But we know that it cannot be, because the world, the environments we come from are not pure meritocracies. They're not. Meaning there are factors that some of us face that many others do not. And
Absolutely.
they are the direct factors in sales that can impact your outcomes, right? My confidence, my outlook, right? So listen, if something has happened in the world that detrimentally, right, painfully impacts someone from my community, right, over the weekend, let's say, and didn't, that's not the case for my peers, and I walk in on a Monday morning, right, and I'm feeling that thing that happened out in the world,
Yeah.
chirpily come up to me and say, "Hey, how was your weekend?" That's a thing I'm experiencing at work, because
Yeah.
now I have to, like, I'm going to lie, or I'm going to say something that's going to cause us to have a conversation about something that we probably don't even agree on. And it's
Yeah.
to carry, and not all of us are carrying it. So if I'm
Um,
having to overcome all of that, right, I'm having to dig just to get to the
just to
baseline
come
that these
to
are
the space.
that right, then you're going to have a hard time selling to me that there doesn't need to be some kind of reform or support to get to this level. And all I'm describing is like the basic principle behind any culture work.
Absolutely.
I think people lose sight of, again, the impact that it ends up having on outcomes. Sales is just a really simple way, right?
Yeah.
A simple profession to be able to look and see, oh, okay, this is something that is tangible, quantifiable impact. We're failing these people when we don't address these issues.
Absolutely. So I have a question. The level of advocacy and um, space that you take up, and the passion in which that you speak about these things and discuss these topics, has this always been Nikki?
My mom told me that the first full sentence I ever spoke was, "That's not fair."
Woo! So it's Nikki. I mean, because culturally, and this is not something that not all Black people are alike.
Mhm.
Just for those who don't know, and not all Black women are alike. But I was very much raised in a family that taught me from my great grandmother that there's things that you don't discuss at work,
Mm.
right? Race, religion, politics,
Mhm.
right? So I know that we come from, some people who were silent activists or quiet activists. And I came from more of that family, like, here go my money, but let me keep my job so I can fund you. Right.
I feel that.
Right. Um, and there's others who have literally given their bodies, their lives, their voices to being on the front lines,
Mhm.
which I feel like is not, I feel like what you're called to. I won't call it what, I really feel like that's what you're called to.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, is this who you've always been, or have you kind of
Yeah.
wiggled into this space?
So apart from, me always just sort of having a sense for it, I don't know where that comes
That's
from.
pretty
It,
imperative. Yeah.
it is a calling. It must come from God. Um, I have this memory of, I came home from school and we had the lesson about Christopher Columbus, right? We learned the little
Yep.
poem, right? In
Yep.
1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, right?
Mhm.
So I remember coming home, and it was very early elementary school, and telling my mom that and being so excited about this thing that I learned. And she stopped me. Okay.
Oh, wow.
What
That's
she's not going to do was let me be indoctrinated into such propaganda. So she right then and there taught me this lesson. She's like, everything they tell you isn't always going to be historically accurate, right? Consider the source, she said. And it's not always going to be something that it would serve you to internalize and take into the world. My mom was always that she was correcting things. And it comes from what, she came from. My mom was part of the first wave of busing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And, there was trauma for her. She
Absolutely.
was, spat on, when she wasn't being ignored, she was being harassed, right? Didn't have support from teachers or school staff. It was a lot. And so a lot of this was her trying to, and she understood the connection between the stories we're told about ourselves, right?
Mm.
And the confidence with which we're able to walk through the world, what we'll let ourselves be the victims of for too long, right? And so I think that is a huge part of it from that. And she was telling me to challenge those things at school. She was giving me permission to do that. So I have been doing that. So yeah, I was getting on all the social studies teachers' nerves. They hate to see me coming because they knew I was going to be
I love that. I love that.
And it wasn't always, again, it has not been this combative thing. I just thought if there's a history we're telling ourselves that isn't accurate, but from which we're trying to, gain this sense of, confidence and achievement, right? Are there no real things that we've done that we can gain a sense of achievement from? And wouldn't that be a much stronger foundation to stand on? And if we can't find enough, might that be information we need to confront so that we can start actually achieving things? This is how I behave in relationships. It's how I treat myself, right? If I want better, there has to be that brutal, brutal is probably not the word I want to use. Objective audit of the stories I am telling myself about why I'm in the position that I am in, right? Why I do or do not deserve to be in that position and things like that.
We'll have 10 other conversations to unpack that. Like what we're taught versus, yeah, I won't go there. Let me not be canceled.
The soapbox. Let me put my little soapbox.
There's so much. There's so much. Indulge me for a minute. Close your eyes and imagine what your organization would look like if you had your very own team of marketing experts dedicated to growing your organization. Let's make this vision a reality. Schedule your complimentary marketing audit today. We'll talk about what's working, what isn't, and how we can help. So, 2 questions. The first is, what do you want people to feel when they encounter your brand?
Ooh, I really love that question, Tashana. I really do. I don't have I'm only thinking about it here in the moment, right?
Okay.
Of course, I thought about it when I first sort of started creating the content,
Yeah.
but that evolves. I think it evolves over time. Right now, I want people to feel inspired. Because I believe in the power of it. We've been talking a little bit about history. When I think about what the sort of common denominator is in all of these movements that were successful in the face of odds that said they should have been buried, they got where they were going because they understood the power of allowing yourself to be inspired and then seeing that as a leadership competency, the ability to move people, right? And so it all still comes back to that communication piece. So I want people to feel inspired to let go of their idea of what they should have to be in order to have a certain title, right? For instance, I meet a lot of people who are like, I'm trying to be a writer. You're a writer or you're not. Just say I'm a writer. Do you know what I mean? You're a marketer or you're not. Just say you're an expert or you're not, right? And so I want people to feel inspired and to have permission to do that. And I do also, though, I want them to feel the imperative to reflect. And I want them to ultimately feel invited into community with me toward this goal of answering this question, right? How can we make the workplace and hopefully by extension the world, right, an easier place, just easier for
Mhm.
to show up in and have equitable access to outcomes.
I love that.
I'm just
I
out here
really
trying
love
to
that.
will, Nana. That's all.
Yeah. Just a little bit, it's just a small task. We could do it by 5 o'clock, right?
Right.
Um, what does it mean to you to wear your values?
Where is such an interesting.
Because you're wearing them.
I am. I am often. I have one of the first parts of my brand that I developed specifically with this sales culture aspect that I have been cultivating is I often wear T-shirts that literally have sayings on them that should not be controversial unless you know what I mean, but that should not be, but that are unambiguously calling for right a level of uh, diversity, a level of equity, right, a level of inclusion. Those will never be bad words to me. And so, for instance, I have a shirt that says I was on a podcast, LinkedIn Live. Thousands of people were on there. A T-shirt said racism, homophobia. I don't like that. And I'm wearing that because again, this is something that should be difficult to disagree with. So if
I
we
don't know
all
how we got here, but that's another conversation.
should trigger the self-reflection. That is what to me. So part of what it means to wear that is to literally wear it and not shy away. Is why I'm mentioning.
Yeah.
The other piece of it is for me specifically, right? I like words, wigs, and women in charge. Okay. So in my content, when you look at my brand, my hair is going to be different every time, right? I'm going to be, and I don't, this is something that historically has been in my personal life, in the workplace, picked at,
Yep.
right? Demonized even, specifically among Black women. And so, it's not like I make a point to wear wigs. I'm going to do that regardless, but I make a point not to shrink from it.
Yeah.
I make a point not to have too many considerations about, what anybody else is going to think. And so that is also a part of it. Just like, this is the way I look and I'm going to show up the way that I look. There are ideas about, women who like the color pink or who, have shoe addictions and all of that, right? People will talk about those things as if they, are mutually exclusive to a level of expertise, to a level of professionalism, and they are not. I'm going to wear pretty pink positivity. Again, should not be controversial. It lets me. This is how I cultivate the community.
Right.
To those to whom it is not controversial, there's somebody out there who was just waiting for somebody to show up and wear pink and say, "Yep," and I'm still an expert, right?
Yeah.
And that is what it is. I am literally wearing it, and then I write in the way that I write. If I'm telling the truth, then I've made peace with the consequence.
There is a certain, even if we're not talking about, politics and advocacy and all the things, we can take that, put it over here for now.
Mhm.
Over here. There is a certain level of confidence and courage that you command that most, even myself at times, are grappling with how to even cultivate. And I work with a lot of, women-led organizations. That's what we do here. And we give them permission to shine. This is off script. I did not send her this question. How do you coach women through even having the confidence and courage again to show up as themselves, even if it's not as being controversial, even if it's wearing pink, wearing the wig, because a lot of times we think we have to take on this one of two personas, a witch persona to be respected, I can't tell you anything about myself. I cannot be vulnerable or feminine in any way, or that's going to be taken advantage of. Or the complete opposite, which is the demure damsel.
Mm-hmm.
And many are not walking in the true authenticity, confidence, and courage of themselves in any space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the workplace, and if even if they're owning their own businesses, they're feeling like they have to tweak and shift and pivot for whatever environment they're in, versus, hey, I got this wig on, or I have these locks, or I have, I'm gonna always wear this bold lip and this bold polish, and this is how I'm showing up. Like, what is step one to being yourself?
Step one, to be yourself. A memoir by Nikki Ivey.
Yes.
Step one,
Write it.
to being yourself, for me, was identifying and indicting the stories that I had been telling myself or had been told that were making it difficult for me to feel confident. The other piece.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Say it again. Step one
is identifying and indicting the stories that I had been told or had been telling myself that were making it difficult for me to feel confident in the first place.
Yep.
Some of these were stories from childhood. A lot of the time for people, if you've got a sibling, you were the pretty one, they're the smart one, right? Whether your parents meant to send you those messages or not, if you absorb that, it could follow you definitely into adulthood and make it difficult for you to take yourself as seriously as you need to in certain aspects. Right. Hey, I'm just the pretty one. So it was that. It was the stories piece. And then it was developing, like, what are the non-negotiables? Because the fact of the matter is, every part of me isn't necessarily suited for every environment. That is a fact. Sure. And so then the framing became the next thing to solve for, right? Is it always shrinking to not bring every single piece, or can it be strategy? And so then reframing it from, if I don't behave that way, I've shrunk, I haven't been true to myself, to, I know exactly how to move to get where I need to get in this situation.
Absolutely.
I know exactly how to move to leave this door that I walked through open for the next folks that come behind me. And that is just as important and just as valuable. That's what I was saying at the top. I respect that strategy. The strategy does not always have to be loud. It does not always have to be a phrase on your t-shirt.
Yeah.
And so once you've done that, then it's the non-negotiables.
Yes.
Right? Like, what do I, like, for me, it was the tension I was feeling. If literally, and it sounds silly, but on a Monday, I started my week out with a certain look. My hair often matches my mood, right?
Yeah.
So a certain look. And on a Wednesday, maybe I wanted to switch it up. And then there is this voice, then they're going to ask you questions at work. Then they're going to think you're ghetto because you changed your hair. Then they're going to do this. Then they're going to do that. Right. And sure, I could apply this whole strategized aspect of it to this. But for me, that was a non-negotiable. I don't want to have to consider what these people are going to think if I, on a whim, want to pull up with blonde hair on a Wednesday. The other pieces that were non-negotiable for me, if I feel compelled, right, to talk about some aspect of this workplace culture that is causing harm or causing an inequitable outcome, non-negotiable, I'm going to say something about it. I don't have to say something about it the same way every time, but I need to, do that. And so each of us does this on our own. We take a stock of that, right? Like, what are the stories? What's left after those stories that I need to now, figure out how to strategize around in this environment? And what am I absolutely not willing to compromise in order, right, to make all of that happen, right? And once you've done that, right, then it's just a matter of every day right? Forgiving yourself for the days when you feel a little bit too scared, you know what I'm saying, to engage with the smoke. And
Because it's
uh,
also exhausting.
it is. It is. That was what I
It's
was saying, right?
exhausting and it's taxing. And everybody doesn't have that capacity.
Right.
Anyway, share your other point. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that was it. You kind of rounded it out, right? It's
Mhm.
it's all of those things. It's understanding why you feel the way you feel, and then figuring out is it all bad, right? Is everything that I'm being asked to shrink in these situations something that's going to hurt me, or is some of it something I can flip
Yeah,
to be a part of my identity that I lean into that helps people?
I love that. I love that. Um, we talk about sales and the environment, not just in sales, but in general in the workplace that are created dis-ease for many in the workplace.
Hmm.
Um, how do you continue to be your authentic self without sacrificing results?
That's the hard part for me. And the answer to the question is you get help from, right, the community that you have been building. I have a really difficult time asking for help
Mm-hmm.
because I myself am a helper,
Mm-hmm.
and the helper has to have all the answers, right?
For sure.
If everybody is freaked out if the helper needs help. So, that the answer to the question is the thing that for me is I really do have to stay out ahead of that piece. I
Right.
really do. But that's what you must do. At a certain point, there's a level of vulnerability
Mm-hmm.
that you have to be willing to have,
Mm-hmm.
with other people in your life, in your workplace, because they may be experiencing something similar, but if neither of you is vulnerable enough to say, then the
Yeah,
problem doesn't get identified, let alone solved.
absolutely. So, what do you say to your clients and colleagues who are afraid to that being themselves will cost them their credibility, their connection, and in some cases their jobs?
It's the you remember on Reading Rainbow when
Mhm.
LeVar Burton gave like a book review and he would say, "But you don't have to take my word for it." That's really what I feel. You don't have to take my word for it. What I am telling you, you will see in your results.
Yeah,
You don't have to like me.
yeah.
Do you like the results? Do
Mm,
you like the results that shrinking has gotten you?
mm,
Ultimately, if I want a person I am coaching, and I do, of course, to succeed, then we're going to have to confront that. We're going to
right.
have to confront how, they're showing up. How good a shot are you even, you know, giving yourself? And if in this question and exercise we decide that there are some other stories we need to root out, then it usually does lead back to that kind of work. But ultimately, I want you, to proceed based on what the data, the results, right, of your behavior is giving you and showing you. And if you are happy with what staying small is earning you,
Mm,
and I will leave you to it. We'll figure out. I'll help you get to the best you can get with
yeah.
what you're willing to do. But otherwise, I'm,
I mean,
gonna,
I understand that, but I think that especially in today's very, very polarized society and the world has changed in a way that none of us could have imagined.
mm-hmm,
Um, there are, for many,
mm-hmm,
real consequences
mm,
for people sharing their voice
wow,
and sharing the truth of how they feel about A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Um, and to your earlier point, it could very well be a strategy to keep my paycheck, to keep the roof over my head, to not put myself in situations where I could literally be carted off to God knows who where.
oh yeah, Oh yeah. Okay. So what I was talking about,
I get it.
I was specifically speaking to the confidence piece, right? So
Yeah.
I'm a founder and I would be, achieving my financial goals if only I had the confidence to talk to people
Absolutely.
in that environment.
Absolutely.
But what you're talking about, yes, has tangible consequences
Mm-hmm.
to speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like I said, like find if it's been communicated to you in whatever way, how explicitly or implicitly, that speaking out is going to have a material consequence that you in your life right now cannot take, right? I gotta have this job, I gotta have those things. Then think about what your other gifts are and
Mm-hmm.
what the other environments are that you could show up. So for a part of the time when I was not in roles or when I was not in a place yet where I felt like I could comfortably write about these things. I mean, for instance, my name on LinkedIn was just Nikki, which family calls me for a very long time, up until about couple of years ago,
Yeah.
before I put Shaniqua, which is my first name,
Yes.
there. So I was not always comfortable even showing up as myself in that way.
It's a shame.
I know.
And I mean, we've all done it. And you and I had a conversation a few months ago about, like, my name is Tashana.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an 80s baby. And culturally, Talakasha, right?
Some equals, some
Yeah, we're
Quitas,
gonna get a
some honor.
Quita, we're gonna get an Anna, something. And there was a period that I was like, and one of my best friends from college, like, how do we shift our names so they don't know who's coming? So I was like, okay, do I professionally go by Shauna for a little while?
Right.
And even this is so deeply rooted in us that even my daughter, her name is Addison. First of all, I love the name. Secondly, I didn't want people to ever know who was coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a thing for us culturally. These are the things that we have to worry about that most people, other people who don't look like us,
Right.
don't have to worry about.
And you're right. And here again, we're talking about it's not necessarily that I'm not confident enough to go out as Shaniqua, but there are the consequences that I have to balance that with. But it took me back to the stories piece, right? Like,
It's true.
are you
Am I going to get filtered out by AI?
going to get filtered out? Yeah. And do I mind? Yeah, I do. So that has to be part of the strategy.
Absolutely.
Right. But at a certain point, for me, with this specific thing, with my name and how I show up, I just had to find different outlets.
Mm-hmm.
So during that time, before I felt entirely comfortable really indicting the system on LinkedIn for all of the future hiring managers to see, I built communities that were just about uplifting, right, the people who were being harmed by the system that I was indicting. So when I wasn't necessarily posting about these things on LinkedIn, I didn't have a newsletter. I wasn't wearing those values in that environment.
Yeah.
But there's a community called Sales for the Culture,
Wow.
that some friends of mine in the sales profession got together and created. At that time, it was a Slack community of about 300 to 500 people. It is now 5,000 people.
Wow.
It functions almost as an external ERG. And those were the places that then we could have the conversations. It was heartbreaking, but also like really beautiful, because we started this in what was a really tumultuous time in America for everybody, especially for Black people, right? This is 2019. This is 2020 when we start this community. And so what we had was, people who were, I'm the only Black person, the only woman, whatever, on the sales floor at my job. These are the kind of stories we would hear in this community. This was said to me. I've learned I got paid less here. This interview process was different. So a lot of it was like intel, right? And then the other piece, though, was like having a space to be able to say those things without then having to be like questioned about it. You know what I'm saying? As to whether or not it really meant, did they really mean any harm, type thing. So that was what helped me when I didn't feel like I could be as loud in a given environment. right, with the advocacy, pouring into the people themselves who I was advocating for,
Yeah.
checked that box.
I love that. I love that. So we talked about, a lot about the courage that it takes to be who you are and the confidence that it takes. But I am not of the belief that starting good trouble, as John Lewis, taught us before, he left this earth, God bless his soul, that all of this comes at a cost. And we are not going to pretend that it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What has that cost been for you, being so visible and vocal?
I think the first was finding out unflattering values held by people professionally that I had a lot of.
Ooh, it's heartbreaking.
That was so painful.
Mm-hmm.
So painful. That was more painful than, me getting wind that I was back channeled at a job and somebody shared a post of mine that they thought was a little bit too advocacy-y, right? So lost opportunities for sure, right? For, brand deals and things like that, folks that, I'm too loud for them and all of that. That happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the losses were the human losses, right? The relationships, the times I felt, I did a content partnership with, say, some SaaS company in 2021, and then cut to 2023, 22. I can't even get an interview at that company, right? So then there was the fakers. That was also a part that hurt when it was really popular to talk about these issues, specifically sales culture, because it wasn't just the part of sales culture that I talk about. There was this push during that time to talk about, psychological safety and mental health and how are salespeople taking care of ourselves and are we being empathetic and all of these things. So I was helping advance brands by letting them align their values with the ones that I was espousing with their name on some webinar, only again to find out they were fakers. When it came time to put something on the line, they were not willing to make a sacrifice. So finding that out was more painful than any, we're not going to give her an interview because we didn't like her LinkedIn post,
I think that's been the hardest thing. The relationships with people that, you respect and admire and believe, respect and admire and cherish you and hold you in high regard, to find out, to find out who they are. When it's all said and done. I think that I definitely resonate with that. So on the flip side, so that's what it cost you. What has it given you?
The way my confidence has grown since I really started putting myself out there.
Mm-hmm.
I started this, and by this I mean, clumsily building a brand and then figuring out that I was doing something that was tight, that was kind of cool. I started this because I was, having a tough time within sales culture myself as an individual contributor. And to me that I couldn't be the only one that was feeling like this. I couldn't be the only one that was sick of some sales manager saying, leave your feelings at the door, but don't sell like a robot. What are y'all trying? I got sick of, right? I couldn't be the only one who took issue with in sales and again, this is a topic we won't be getting deep into, but these are some things I was confronting, right? With the culture anyway. We celebrate with alcohol. This was in Austin. There were kegs on the sales floor, right? I can't be the only person that sees how this down the road is going to be damaging for a lot of us, right? So I figured out that I needed community, and that was the reason why I started saying anything at all on LinkedIn. And The confidence factor was in having it validated to me that this ability to connect with people and bring them together and inspire them is valuable. This is something that is treated as something that is soft, that is fluffy. People barely, I've interviewed for a lot of leadership positions in that profession, and people barely even ask about it as a competency.
Nope.
Which is funny because like the best training, right, that a salesperson can get is the one that they are inspired to apply. And so getting to live in the impact that I was making, I stood a little bit taller. And I learned, as both Barack and Michelle Obama have said, that the people at the table, baby, they're not always the most brilliant or the hardest working if you have gotten to that table. So that was another thing that I really gained from that. Of course, I gained the community, right? The people around me. And it meant that I was increasing my salary. I was increasing my income with every new opportunity, simply because I was putting myself out there and saying, hey, I am an expert. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want you to put your expert hat on, because before I let you go, I have to get your top 3 sales tips for women-owned small businesses. Go.
Ooh, okay. Number one. We've just been talking about it this entire time, right? Lean all the way in to the aspects of your personality that make you feel most confident. Do not shrink from that. Like, listen, if you need before a meeting to go listen to, I'll speak for myself, guys. I go in the bathroom, I put my headphones in, I play a Britney Spears song. You know what I mean? I'm going to play, Work Bee, or I'm going to play Get Up 10 by Cardi, right? Like things that make you feel you're allowed to have those. You're allowed to talk about them as well. And people, you don't think about this as a sales tip, but it is, right? Yeah. Because when you are in the room with people, they want to connect with you as a human being, especially in this time of, automation and AI. In a practical sense, like what does that look like applied, right? This whole be confident and human thing. Make it a part of your day, a part of your process to be interacting confidently with the people who constitute both your buyer base and, I would say, your peers. I think it is as valuable often to be seen as a thought leader among your buyers as it is to be seen as a thought leader among your peers. Each of you is talking about the same thing, but talking about it in a subtly different way. So show up on those posts on LinkedIn, show up at those webinars, right? Be the person that is talking in the chat window about what's going on. Be the, and yes, from that expertise place, right? Bear in mind that there is always someone who, the things that we think everybody must know because we know them so deeply, most of the time, everybody does not know them. In fact, it's a fact that there's a lot of people who don't, right? So like you are an expert and you're allowed to internalize that and walk in that and let that be the thing that drives the core relationships. And I know this is something that you do really well, Tashana. The core relationships keep you successful. So show up in the places where buyers are, but show up there with insights. Lean into this human element, right? That connection. Break veneer, right? There needs to be as little distance, right, between you and your presence as a human being and that of the person that you're talking to. And then in order to do that, I put a heavy emphasis on research, on knowing the people who are going to be talking to, right? And I mean that at the industry level, at the company level, and at the interpersonal, like this decision maker level, right? How deeply do I understand this decision maker's ache when they engage with the problem that I solve?
Right.
How well then can I reflect it back to them in a way that causes a visceral reaction?
Mm-hmm.
That is what you want.
Yeah.
When you do that, the tactics themselves, right, as long as they're, done consistently and make sense, those tend to not matter as much, as the confidence and ability to connect with and inspire people do in the long run.
I love that. I love that. All right. I know I have to let you go. I can talk to you all day long. But I want to have a little fun with you. This has been a wonderful conversation, but some of it may have had some people coming to terms with themselves. So I want to have a little fun, quick lightning round. You already told me this, but I'm going to ask you again. Favorite hype song before a big moment?
Get Up 10, Cardi B. Black Parade, Beyonce. There's lots of them. Keep going.
Okay.
I'll just keep this.
Okay. One value that you will never compromise on.
Ooh.
All of them, period.
I'm over here like, do I list all the words separately? Diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, all those.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go to snack when you're stressed.
Ooh, let me get some Haribo gummy bears. Let me get some Snickers, and let me get some sour cream and cheddar Ruffles. Yes, Tashana knows about the
size. They're fun size. One a day.
Yes.
That's hilarious. Okay. How do you protect your joy?
Ooh. I am lucky. I know I've talked a lot about community. I've been married, it'll be 20 years in September.
Wow.
He is my joy. So I protect him. So that family is how I protect my joy. I read somewhere that it is emotionally regulating to like watch the same TV show again. And we have many right now. My husband and I are watching the original Dallas. And it is regulating in that, again, it's something that we look forward to, we do together. And it definitely like takes my mind off of feeling like I have to be in the fight at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. One book that changed how you lead or sell.
Ooh. So I got a couple of them back here. This one I'll go with. This is Arlen Hamilton. It's About Damn Time. In this book, she talks about she was sleeping in her car. Now she has one of the most successful venture capital
everywhere. Yes.
All time. I got to meet her in person actually at a conference a while back, and she's lovely. But so she tells the story in this book about how she had set out to do proof of concept and get more, followers of her blog. And what she decided to do was she did this math. If I talk to this many people in person and record this many interviews with them over this amount of time, then I'll have amassed this, and that, right? And the number was something huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening to the book and I'm like, there's just no way she's going to be able to do that. It'll take her forever. And what she found was she only got 10% of the way into the exercise before she started to see the energy that she put in come back out. What worked was just believing, right? Making this bet on herself, right? I believe this thing with such conviction that if I could just talk to this many people about it, right? And evangelize it could be that. So I did this in 2018. I had 6,000 LinkedIn followers, right? And didn't have a job. And I was like, I need to figure something out. So I did this. It was called Sunshine 6,000. I was going to spread sunshine to all 6,000 of my LinkedIn followers. And if I did this math, if I touch such and such amount of them a day, then over this period of time, then, I'll have done it. I'll have reached all of them and built real connections with all of them. But I only got like 20 people in before they started talking about what I was doing.
I love it.
Yes. And then the people I was reaching out to were posting about it. It took 3 months, I think, for me to triple my following on LinkedIn from
wow
size. Yeah. That's why I really believe in it. And that it's these relationships, and it is community. And it was in that case, I think from a sales perspective, the personalized nature of it, and the fact that I did it consistently, and that I had concrete goals around it.
I love it. I love it.
Oh.
Well, Nikki, thank you so much for being with me today and for always showing up as you always do, fully, authentically, and beautifully, and so boldly. Thank you for giving us permission to do the same. To everyone listening, I'm going to put all Nikki's things in the show notes. So please reach out to her and connect with her on LinkedIn. She is living proof that there is power in our authenticity, and just connect with her. You're going to learn a whole lot and be moved and inspired to take action. So thank you for joining us for this episode of Conversations Beyond the Brand. Until next time, stay rooted, stay bold, and stay in relationships. Bye.